around, you stumble in the dark. You kept pushing on, but then you went too far. When your ship has sailed and all your dreams are lost, everything is wrong, you feel like it's your fault. Just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call me. Just call me. Just call me. Just call me. You're stronger now than you ever been. You gotta leave now, it's time to catch the wind. You will climb up high and look through the clouds. And when you're feeling low, I know you'll bounce back. Oh, and just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call me. Just call me. Just call me. Just call me.
I hope you're ready. This is going to be exciting.
Here we go, career starts up, we go. Green flag is out, underway.
Just a few laps into this. Oh, the 37's getting loose. Oh, and he saves it. Oh, they're going 3 wide.
We've got a 5-way fight for the win of this race, coming to 4 laps to go. He's gonna win it here in spectacular fashion.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Finger Lakes region of upstate New York. Host to Watkins Glen International, one of the most iconic road courses in all of motorsports. And here with Goat Locker Racing, the INVets Truck Series attempts to take on this 2.5-mile, 7-turn road course. Mark Whitley ended up winning last week in both the Trucks and ARCA Series. Can the newcomer go 2 for 2 in the Trucks? Or will Eddie Smith, who is usually in the booth next to us handling all the information for the drivers, who was strapping on the helmet here tonight, back up his win last October and last couple of weeks in ARCA? I'm Shane Lake, bringing you all the action here from high above, well, what would normally be Victory Lane here in Watkins Glen, in the Tony Trapauser Memorial Broadcast booth. And joining me tonight, it's a bullpen game, everybody. It's Jordan Brockwell filling in for Dave Regal. And Jordan, we're road course racing in trucks. What is this, 1996?
Certainly something of a spectacle that we're going to see here tonight. I mean, again, Mark Whitley, newcomer, came in back-to-back wins across both series in the Sunday and Monday trucks and ARCA. And, it's going to be interesting to see if he can, pull off another, keep that hot streak going. I know it's a little warm out here on the track. It's about 114-degree trap temp, so I expect some of these guys in these tight corners, especially that bus stop, going to have to really be easy, not to, try to overcook that corner. And, with the hotter temps, it might cause a little bit of a loose condition for these guys. So I'm looking forward to it. As we get closer and closer to the end of this season, just have this race and next week to go to get everything squared away for the playoffs. And, Joseph McWhorter, he's locked in. And then Travis Bieber and David Duke, those two with a start tonight or next week at Kansas, those guys are going to lock themselves in. So look for them to be locked in, ready to go. And I'm excited. These guys have put on a good regular season. I can't imagine with the pressure of having the playoffs of how much those guys are going to push that there tonight. So I'm excited.
Yeah, you mentioned the points, and right now there is what looks to be, as I'm checking through my own notes here, about a 27-point gap in between, it looks like, the 7th all the way down to 14th. So there's a lot of points on the table here tonight. And again, also next week at Kansas, with a road course being the next to last race before getting into the playoffs, the mindset has got to be so much more different than when you'll be going into, say, a short track or even a super speedway, knowing that this can play such a big wild card over anything else that you've got to deal with the rest of this season.
Yeah, certainly. With guys that we see, typically, struggle at places like, a Martinsville or, Phoenix and stuff like that, those shorter, mile to half mile tracks, you come in here and these guys, across the whole sim of iRacing, we have a bunch of guys who are very good at different, types of racing. And this is one of those tracks where, we can see guys, shine who don't typically do well at the smaller ovals, who have a road course background, just come in here and, throw it around. And Watkins Glen is one of those tracks that all of us oval drivers, know like almost like the back of our hand, just because, we see them on a yearly basis with, the Cup and the Truck Series and Xfinity Series. It's one of those tracks that we see, IRL go to. And so we like to participate in this track, so a lot of the oval guys, this is one of the only road courses that they run good at. And I'm certainly looking forward to these guys all getting in and testing their ability to turn right.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Watkins Glen has been referred to as the super speedway of road courses. Could that also play a factor for the guys that are known to be faster than, most everyone out there? Because, again, you're going to be carrying into the bus stop about 160 miles an hour, and then going into what would be normally turn 10, you're going to be carrying about 145. So could we end up seeing a lot more differences than normal here tonight?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of these guys in this series have a great understanding of how to race a car. And, I look for everyone to kind of push forward and find their ways into a higher position. Track position is going to be a big key, because we're not going to really have, cautions here. So trying to get yourself a good qualifying spot is certainly something massive, as, we see time and time again that, the higher you qualify, typically the better that you finish. because of us not having those, you know, cautions and stuff like that. So just getting your strategy down to a T and being able to just hit your marks each and every lap and continue to move forward is going to be a big thing for you tonight, you know, in this truck.
Yeah, and the strategy is going to be massive here tonight. It's only 40 laps the distance, 60% tank of fuel, 3 sets of tires sitting on pit road, 1 fast repair, and 2 green-white checkers. So this is definitely going to be one of these who's going to end up playing chess games better for, you know, everyone to try to end up making it through this event here tonight. Now, the other thing that was brought to my attention, of course, dealing with the notes I've got now in front of me, we do have 2 penalties that will be taking place here tonight. Mark Caulfield in the 97 is going to end up at the end of the longest line due to issues from last race, and also the 3 of Michael McCarthy is going to be starting on pit road. Now, how's that going to end up affecting somebody's race?
Yeah, and I mean, that leads right into the whole track position that I was talking about. You know, for Cofield, it's not as big of a thing. You know, he's going to be able to start at the tail end and just pick off guys as they run. Now, for McCarthy, starting from pit road, he's going to have a little bit longer of a distance to even get to the back of this field to then start picking drivers off. So one of those things where you almost have to be on full offense until you get to your, you know, to the pack, and then you have to kind of balance a defense to offense from that point on. You know, you don't want to push too hard to, you know, wear the truck out and really put yourself at a deficit, but you don't want to just kind of lag back and just kind of, you know, put yourself behind the 8 ball even further.
No, that's the last thing you want to do is bury yourself behind the 8 ball. The only other thing that I have seen really play into effect is the new iRacing debris model. And people have been known to get the tires up off the curbs, kick up some grass, kick up some gravel. Will that be a factor here tonight?
And absolutely, I mean, I think it can certainly put itself into a being a factor. But you know, it's all going to be in the process of just running these laps to see what's going to happen. And you know, with all of that being said, we're going to go over the starting grid for tonight. Mark Whitley going to start on pole. He is the Jam Printing and Promotions Pole Award recipient, as you know, Jam Printing and Promotions out of Plainfield, Indiana, are a local and veteran certified. And when they can do more good in the community. Since forming in 2013, Jam has contributed printing and promotional sponsorships to more than 60 local nonprofits, with a primary focus on organizations that assist veterans, women, and children. They have been with Goat Locker Racing since the very beginning. They provide GLR with all promotional items, including shirts, hats, decals, dog tags, you name it. Jam is GLR's go-to promotional company. And as I said, Mark Whitley is the recipient of the Jam Printing and Promotions Pole Award here tonight. I'm going to continue on with this this grid here as Lucas Lyons looks to start to his inside, outside, depending on which part of the track we are. Joseph McWhorter and Andrew Player are going to be in row number 2. Mark Cofield and Brett Bieber, row number 3. Michael McCarthy, who will start from pit road, and Big Duke going to be in row number 4. Row number 5 is going to see Travis Bieber and Jamie Libke. Kevin Price and Brandon Wallace going to be in row number 6. Corinne Smith and Jeremiah Holt going to be in row number 7. Casey Jones and Charles Abbott going to be in row number 8. Alex McQueen and Kyle Deering in row number 9. And then Christopher Morris Jr. and Logan Sturgeon in row number 10, and rounding out our full field here tonight. And while we do all of that, we're going to see if we could see our pole sitter here tonight, see if we get a word with him. I do not see him in the chat, so we're going to put a note in that, because we're not going to be able to talk with our pole sitter, our Jam Printing and Promotions Pole Award winner. But certainly he's going to lead these guys to green. And it's one of those things, it's got to be a what feels like a forever long trek around this place just to get ready to go green. I mean, you know, you don't have the oval to kind of cruise around. You have to kind of make sure you're mindful of the guy to your outside or inside as you make these pace laps. So it's got to be a little bit of a nerve-wracking feeling.
Yeah, it is, because a pace lap here is roughly, what, I want to say 2.5 to 3 minutes. There's a lot of time that you can get inside your own head, unfortunately, and that's what usually ends up hurting a lot of people on these starts, is they're overthinking. As a driver myself, I try to just keep all of that out of it. You know, I'm just checking my gauges. I'm just making sure, okay, this is the mark I want to hit when I get on my brakes here. This is where I want to turn in, and leave it at that. I don't want to focus on, you know, who's around me. I don't want to focus on anything else. I'm just in my seat. I'm tightening up my wheel a little bit, getting myself, you know, adjusted in my seat a little bit more, and just getting ready to go, because I want to make sure I can get that launch, especially considering the guy to my outside is going to be wanting to try to keep me about as pinned down as possible through turn one.
Absolutely. I've always said that road course racing is is a specific type of racing where you're racing more against yourself than you are the guys around you. Now, mind you, you do have to be mindful of who's around you, when, where, how to make your moves on them. But for the most part, it all comes down to yourself and how well you can run a track. And certainly we're going to see if Mark Whitley is able to race this track better than everyone else as he gets ready to go green flag racing here with Lucas Lyons to his outside. We're going to see that number 774 machine roll into the restart zone, fire off, and head down towards that treacherous turn one, as it looks like McWhorter dives to the outside, looking to gain a position there already.
Yeah, I think the 74 either got the tires spun or he got jacked up, as we got somebody around behind him. Who was that in the Wheaties?
It looked like Brett Bieber there, back there, spinning around. He's going to loop that thing back around and get back going forward here. Lucas Lyons and McWhorter Lucas Lyons, Whitley, McWhorter all flipping around position here, just trying to keep themselves out front.
Yeah, right now that 74 is making a huge move down into the bus stop. He's going to make it stick, getting around Lucas Lyons. So put Mark Whitley, the pole sitter, back up front. End up everyone getting through the carousel. 17 getting wicked loose on throttle, trying to get out of there. The one thing I love about Watkins, Glen, look at how much runoff there is. As the 72 of Joseph McWhorter ends up getting around Lucas, move him up to P2.
Yeah, and a little bit there at the beginning, you know, Mark Whitley falling back. I feel like that was just, you know, good timing by McWhorter on the start there, kind of guessing when, you know, Whitley was going to go. And then once everything settled itself out through turn one, you know, he just kind of, you know, regathered himself, ran his own race, and got back by, you know, Lyons and McWhorter there.
Yeah, Lyons got a good jump, but I saw the back end of that 74 end up getting kicked sideways. So, again, I don't know if he spun the tires or if he got lifted, but he did not have the traction getting off the jump, as we've got ourselves a battle here brewing between, it looks like, Brandon Wallace and looks like Jeremiah Holt.
Yeah, Jamie Libke finding a way around Brandon Wallace, but now Wallace under fire by Holt here. Back up front, Whitley already putting himself about a second ahead here over McWhorter, and McWhorter putting himself about almost 2 seconds ahead of Lucas Lyons. So certainly showing their strengths here early on in this one.
Yeah, Mark Whitley ended up having a 1:18.74 from a standing lap, whereas Joseph McWhorter had a 1:19.72. That's just evil to begin a road course event like that. That's just wrong.
Oh, this time around 1:12.94 to a 1:12.82 by McWhorter. So McWhorter a little bit faster that time around.
Yeah, I mean, a 10th here and a 10th there will pick it up for you as this race goes on. But again, the fact that you've only got, you know, 40 laps to deal with, you got a 60% tank. So that means, I want to say, what, 20-ish laps on a tank of fuel, give or take? So there is a little bit of strategy to be had here tonight.
Yeah, seeing Logan Sturgeon already off track here. See if we can go back, see what happened to him. As looks like I feel like I can feel the S's as he gets up through here. He's gonna probably snap it. There it goes. Noses it in. And
the carousel bit another one. And that's the thing is, you really have to wait on the throttle for the carousel. You can't mat it and hope it sticks. You literally have to play with the throttle a little bit until you know you got the rear end planted, and then you can get into it.
Yeah, the carousel, yeah. Oh, I was just going to add to that. That carousel is tricky because, you know, late in a run, if you try to put the throttle down too soon, you're going to find yourself kind of plowing through that corner, getting real tight, going up towards the outside line of that carousel. But early in a run, it's going to end up snapping those tires loose and throwing you around like we saw there.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing is it reminds me a lot of the carousels in the Nürburgring. The way it's kind of off camber, and then when you get far enough outside, it literally levels off and falls the other way.
See, the Nürburgring is one of those tracks that makes my stomach flip when I hear its name.
Sorry to make you sick. I hope you didn't have anything spicy to eat before we came on air tonight.
No, certainly nothing spicy. I refuse to do spicy before a broadcast for that reason right there. But you never want to be in a broadcast booth with it spicy, and lucky for you, if I ever do spicy in a broadcast booth, you know, you won't have to be in the same room as me, so guess you should count your blessings there.
Last thing we need is a sight worse than a puppy monkey baby going around here.
Got me all messed up on that one.
I just brought back that relic. I mean, it was either that or man bear pig.
Oh, Lord, I see Kevin Price having a little bit of a situation as well. Take a peek back at him. See, and it looks like headed down towards the bus stop.
Again, the truck might have been a little unhappy. Yep.
Oh, he got on the brakes. Got on the brakes, and then whoever was right there behind him just kind of giving him a shot there. It looked like Corinne Smith. I also saw, let's take a peek back, I see Logan Sturgeon popping up again. Just not having a happy night for him. He heads down towards turn one, wheel hops a little bit there, and then it just seems to just kick around, and it's going to nose in again.
Yep. Unfortunately, the dreaded wheel hop claims a couple of trucks here tonight, and that's the unfortunate thing is you really have to be careful with your brakes here because you get that rear axle bouncing. That's what wheel hop is, just general definition for everybody who's joining us here tonight. You end up getting the back end of that truck bouncing up and down. You have to release the brakes in order to get the rear traction back. But unfortunately, doing that can also throw your line and your speed off, as we got a couple of trucks on pit road, and one of them looks like they just might have retired.
Yeah, I saw Christopher Morris Jr., him down on pit road. Looked like a little bit of right front damage to him. I don't have anything that popped up for him, so we can't take a look back at that. Casey Jones, not sure what happened there either. Just says he went to pit lane, so nothing that we can give you on those guys, but I can give you, it looks like Kyle Deering had himself a little incident. See if we can take a peek here. And it looks like I see Morris in the background entering pit lane there. Deering all over the place sliding, and then it just ends up looping itself away. Yeah, just a wheel hop. And that's a big thing that, you know, happens here in that turn one, because you're carrying all of that speed down the front stretch. Then you have to woe it up really quickly, and if you're in a battle, you don't necessarily know that you're closing in on a guy as fast as you are.
Yeah, and you're going to see the wheel hop prevalent, especially in going into turn one and going into the bus stops. And the other thing that guys need to be concerned about is how much curb they actually do use with these bus stops, because I have seen suspension parts fail from people jumping all these curbs. So it's just a matter before you might start hearing the truck groaning a little bit in agony, because you might end up having something breaking here soon.
Yeah, and a big thing too with a couple of these runoffs here, like turn one. I know if you're not careful with turn one, there's actually an off-track penalty for going too wide there, which, you know, is a little weird for me, because, you know, when you see these guys in the real world, you see those guys using up all of that turn one on exit and kind of going way out wide over that rumble. But if you go too far, you end up getting a cut through there, as well as right there where Whitley went through. Cut that a little too quickly, you can get an off track there as well. So a lot of places to be mindful. Now, I know coming out of the carousel, that one, That's fair game, and I tested it out a number of times for myself just because I'm nosy. You can run that thing out as wide as you want, and so I look for a lot of people to run that wide as they can possibly do.
Well, the one thing I'm sure everyone's glad of is this isn't what last year's Watkins Glen was, because I know they put up a whole different batch of curbs through some of these corners, and just be glad it's not last year's Watkins Glen, because I think that would have tore up these trucks a whole hell of a lot quicker.
Absolutely. And so while these guys run here, we're going to step aside real quick for a quick commercial and then be back with more action here with the Goat Locker INVets Truck Series.
A thriving job market and low cost of living, plus a wide range of veteran benefits, make Indiana the perfect place for veterans of the United States military to call home. INVets can help you find that home. We're an organization started by veterans to help former service members transition to civilian life in our state. INVets can help you find the community with the career opportunities, housing, schools, and amenities that fit your lifestyle. To learn more about INVets, visit us at invets.org today.
Superior quality, ultimate protection, and the highest level of craftsmanship. We make our gloves for the hard worker that wakes up every morning and gives 110%. You deserve the highest quality protective gear that's going to work for you, day in, day out. We know it can be tough deciding what companies to trust for your hard-earned money. It's all in our name. We've mastered our craft to help you master yours. We make our gloves rugged, durable, and designed for you. Whatever the job is, we have you covered. We are your glove station.
Back here at Watkins Glen with the Goat Locker Racing INVets Truck Series, as Whitley now has about a 2.5 second lead over Joseph McWhorter, and McWhorter now has about a 15 second lead over the third place final podium spot of Andrew Player, who's currently battling with Lucas Lyons up front here, or well, not quite up front, but for the last podium spot.
Yeah, and this just shows right here, like I said earlier, who's going to be the ones to worry about when it comes to road course racing. And Whitley and McWhorter right now are the class of the field, but Whitley has just been laying it down time and again here tonight. I mean, consistently running 112s, 113s, whereas McWhorter is running a 114.00. That says everything right about now. I mean, he just has another half a second on him, so that's just crazy seeing this big of a gap already in the trucks.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, that time by too, I mean, 113.57 to a 114.21. So McWhorter losing about two tenths there. So, you know, 2 tenths over a road course is going to grow that lead time and time again. And, you know, it's going to become a thing where, you know, if he gets out far enough, he's going to be able to just make a pit stop whenever he feels and not really have to worry about much of anything if he can, you know, stretch this out.
Yeah, because I think if my math was right, it's roughly 45 seconds counting a stop up and down pit road at Watkins Glen. So right now he could make a stop and come out roughly, I want to say, well, he'd still be inside the top 10, give or take, depending on who comes with him. So he is looking to grow that gap in a massive way.
Absolutely. And I mean, we're looking here, Big Duke, he's currently leaving pit road. Just as he crosses that yellow line, his total pit time from the start of getting onto pit road and getting off of pit road here was 47, just short of 47 and a half seconds. So, you know, they're going to have about 20 or so seconds if they were to pit now. Not that they would pit right now, but you know, as of right now, you know, Whitley has about 20 seconds over P3. So he would come out of pit road barely behind some of these guys, just essentially waiting for them to make a pit stop. And, you know, once he has fresh stuff, he's going to have a completely faster time than some of those guys and, you know, end up growing that lead even larger.
Yeah, and my thing is, honestly, is he trying to get to a point where he can just gap the entire field and just make the truck go to halfway? Because if you can get this to go half distance on fuel, you're going to have 2 extra sets of tires in case something goes sideways. Is he trying to pull this to make it only a one-stop race where everyone else is looking at maybe 2 stops?
Yeah, I mean, that's a very big, you know, possibility. And, you know, these guys all have different ideas. I know we saw a couple guys already down on pit road now. I mean, we saw Big Duke coming off pit road there. I'm not sure if McCarthy's was just because of the starting from pit lane or not. But, you know, it might have been a possible there. But everybody else that we saw come to pit road has kind of been on pit road to end their day. But, you know, if you can, like you said, you can get to halfway here as Whitley looks to go past the 50 and the 78 here down the backstretch. Well, short shoot to the bus stop. I keep saying backstretch like it is a backstretch. It's probably the only other straightaway we really have throughout this entire track.
Well, you got that when you got the short shoot leading into turn 10, then you got the front straightaway.
Yeah, so, I mean, you know, these guys, you know, he's just going to run this thing as far out as he can, get to that halfway that, you know, if he can get to that halfway, it's going to be his telltale sign that, you know, he only needs to do a one-stopper. And, I mean, he's at a distance now that if he needs to save, he can certainly save. At worst, he would lose, one spot that's to it. And just as I say that, he's going to come down pit road now. So now it's going to be one of those things is, you know, this is going to be a 2-stopper without a doubt.
Yeah, because coming in lap 14 puts it another 14, 15 laps. Let's just say if he extends it long enough to maybe go 16, lap 30. So, yeah, this is at least another one-stop race.
Yeah, Mark Whitley coming down. Andrew Player also starting his trek down pit road. McWhorter and Lyons both staying on track here. Lyons about 19 seconds off of McWhorter as you see Lyons going up through the S's now. McWhorter coming through the bus stop as Kevin Price was off track there, right in front of him.
Once again, the bus stop biting another truck. Or in this case, the same truck a second time.
Yeah, that bus stop is one of the trickiest things on this track, in my opinion. Just because you get right to it and you either think that you're carrying enough speed and then you end up being too much, or you think you're carrying too much speed and then you end up going through it slow. And, you know, setting yourself up for out of corner as now McWhorter makes his stop. Setting yourself for out of the final little bit of the bus stop is a big key because it sets up your carousel and the short shoot down towards turn 10. So, you know, it's one of those things that you got to figure out that bus stop and figure it out quickly.
Yeah, you do, because it feels like it's literally 2 separate entities. You have the first part of it, you can enter almost literally dead straight, depending on how much curb you want to take. But then it almost feels like it tightens up on the second half of the bus stop. So it's kind of a give and take battle when it comes down to that section of the track.
Yeah, and it's also one of those places that you can make up a ton of time or lose a ton of time. A lot of these corners, you know, they don't have as much impact on time-wise, but that bus stop has a massive, and I mean absolutely tremendous impact to your time, just because it's such a tight area that if you can get through it quickly and cleanly, you know, you can gap somebody really easily if they struggle through it. So it's one of those corners that, you know, and I can't say corner, it's corners plural, to get through if you want to be quick here. You know, that's where you gain or lose a ton of time.
Yeah, because you can go into that bus stop doing about 115, 120 if you're lucky, but that's only if you've got no one really around you. If you know you're trying to save something, you're looking at maybe going in there 95 to 100, but it's all about getting the first part of the bus stop right in order to set up the second half to go through the carousel. Because if you end up going too wide coming out of the bus stop, you know, you're going to have a really, really bad arc going into the carousel. And if you come out too shallow, you're going to have two wheels on the grass kicking yourself up sideways over the curb. So it's kind of one of those, you have to be pinpoint accurate going through it. I mean, that line right there that the 73 just took is relatively what you want to do, just to be a little bit more conservative compared to where other people might be putting their right sides on the grass coming out of the bus stop. I mean, right here, you'll see Whitley. That's a bit more of an aggressive line compared to what a few of the other people were doing in front of them.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, you can see that truck fully get airborne like it's a stadium truck, hopping into the bus stop, and then, you know, he's just basically whipping that thing around there as fast as he can. And I mean, that shows right there why he is as fast as he is. Last time around, had the fastest lap of the race at a 1:12.24, and, you know, continues to stretch the gap that he has over McWhorter of, you know, he's up to 4 seconds there. And Lucas Lyons, who has yet to make a pit stop, is, you know, just down the street from him, essentially, entering into turn one now. So my thing is Lyons committed to possibly trying to run this thing out on a one stop? You know, does he have enough to make it to the 20 to go, and, you know, make it a one stop? You know, he is losing time, but, you know, if you're just on the same schedule as everyone, it doesn't typically bode well for you. So if you can try to get a different kind of sequence, a different, you know, pit strategy, kind of hope for some of these guys here to kind of get a little backed up in traffic, trying to get back to you, and just let you kind of work your way up, you know, you could end up helping yourself out in the long run there.
Yeah, I think in the next 2 to 3 laps, we'll know for sure what the 17 is doing, because we know that speed-wise, he didn't have it to begin with. I mean, he could have checked out on everybody, but it just didn't have the opportunity to get away because, well, damn, that 74 was just flying today.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, Whitley has absolutely shown some strength across the 3 races so far that I've broadcasted with him in it. Getting the win last week in the trucks and the win last Monday in the ARCA, you know, shows the speed that he has to carry. And, you know, if you're just going to run the same sequence as him, it's not going to usually bode him well for you. I mean, Lyons right now only a 2.5 second lead, but, you know, if he's able to run that final 20 out, he could possibly make it to where, you know, at the end of this thing, he's right there in front of the 74, or, you know, a couple seconds ahead of the 74, you know, just hanging on for dear life, trying to make it to the end. You know what I mean?
yeah, he'd end up making Whitley end up chasing him, because this right now, if he does stretch it to 20, puts him on a full-blown one-stopper where everyone else is going to be having to come in again. He's going to have the freshest tires out of everybody. But at the same token, he's going to be giving it up at the end of the race.
Yeah, it looks like
So
he
what
may
he's
be
hoping for-
coming now,
Yeah,
looping
he
that.
is.
So,
But
yeah,
he-
he's going to come down pit road now. So that changes a little bit there. You know, what is he going to have to do to either make it to the end, or does he just run as hard as he possibly can and then re-converge with these guys on the same strategy?
I think the idea is for that, because doing the math in my head, that was 18:36. He'd need a splash with 4 to go. Oh, yeah. I don't know. That's going to be, I don't know. That's going to be tough.
Well, so here's just my general thought on it. You know, Whitley, he came down lap 13. If he runs, say, just another 13, that would put him at lap 26 with about 14 to go. If, you know, he comes down lap 26, I mean, we've got, what, 8 to 9 laps? About 7, 8 laps to go to that. If Lyons has enough trust in himself to be able to run that flat out as hard as he possibly can and control it, he can make up a ton of time, pit with these guys, and essentially close the gap a little further. Is it going to be a stretch? It definitely could be. It's just going to be one of those things we have to watch and figure out.
Well, not only is it going to be a stretch, but then you also have to consider what's going on with the 74. Is he going to be able to make it after that one last stop? Because he'd have to figure out a way to save a lap of fuel. I mean, doing that at Watkins Glen is relatively easy to do, you know, lifting and coasting. And now I'm going to sound like I'm talking Formula One for a couple of moments, but, you know, the lift and coast method has been effective for a lot of people. There's also, you know, getting on the throttle just a little bit later coming out of these corners. You know, saving a gallon is relatively easy to do, but at the same token, if you're as fast as the 74 is, do you want to give up that much time trying to save?
Right, and I mean, we at least know that these guys can go at least 18 per what, you know, Lyons just did. But it's one of those things, is if he can get to about lap 22 here, you know, I feel comfortable enough that he could pit around lap 22 and be able to make it to the end. It's just how hard is he going to be able to push it if he comes down that early. So it's one of those things that I think he might just break this into 3 separate kind of quarters here. You know, 13, 13, and then run 14, which, oh, someone sideways right there. It was Jeremiah Holt.
I think he lost it coming off.
See if we can take a peek back at that.
You got the front end of that thing all knocked in. Looks like the right front tire's also bent.
See coming through the final turn here. Yep. And the barrels said, how do you do?
Yeah, unfortunately, these barrels don't give like they do in most places.
Absolutely not. Not even a slight bit.
And it's like hitting concrete.
Oh, 110%. It's like hitting an immovable object.
Wait a minute, Andre the Giant's sitting in those things?
I mean, it might as well be, and I guess maybe if we had a Hulk Hogan car, maybe we'd see them go somewhere, but that's about all I could say.
Don't give me any ideas, brother. Hey, just remember something. In Las Vegas, they had Stenhouse with a 47 had Real American beer that's made by Hulk Hogan. Just remember that.
The thing is, are you a real American? I am a real American.
Well, I do. Oh, dear God. We're getting into it deep tonight, folks.
Wrestling, man. It can't help it sometimes. Anytime a wrestling reference comes up, Big Duke coming down now to get his, what I believe will be his final service of the race.
It is WrestleMania season, after all.
Absolutely. But Mark Whitley laying the smack down, I guess you could say, here on these guys. McWhorter, though, still kind of hanging in there around the 4 seconds. It hasn't really grown. So, you know, it's one of those things, is you never know unless you're racing. Is Whitley saving? Oh, Whitley a little wide there.
Yeah, he missed the second part of that bus stop.
Is Whitley saving, and that's why it's staying there? Or has McWhorter found something? And, you know, as the race goes on, you know, you find ways to get yourself faster through this track, and I would not be to any surprise if McWhorter's just found something that he's able to run the same pace that the 74 is. But it's one of those things, is now you have to find where you can gain just a touch on the 74.
Yeah, I think, honestly, as I'm looking through the timing, they're relatively coming out even lap time-wise. I mean, Whitley just ran a 1:14.18, whereas the 72 McWhorter just ran a 13:61. So I think Whitley is trying to save to make it go to the back end of the window. because that's going to be the only way he makes it a one-stop race.
Oh, you saw a big slide there from the 74 out of the S's there. That's something that we're going to, see from some of these guys as they start pushing.
Yeah, and I think the only reason he's pushing is just to get rid of this lap traffic, because now this could start playing a factor as well. If he can't get around these beat guys quick enough, the 72 is definitely going to close in.
Absolutely. I mean, just there, going into the bus stop, he was about 4 seconds off of Whitley, and now as they get ready to head towards this turn, they're just separated by 3.5 seconds. So certainly it's providing McWhorter the chance to kind of make up a couple tenths here.
Yeah, I mean, going through turn 10, the 74 did not look all that comfortable, so he's definitely trying to get a little bit more out of it, and it shows on the lap time because, again...
Oh, Bieber's wide there. That's going to help Whitley not have to worry about that car.
Yeah, that gets one truck out of the way.
But now just 3 seconds there for McWhorter.
Yeah, McWhorter ran a 13.75 compared to Whitley's 14.27.
Yeah, Whitley just going to try to get everything that he can down this little chute here towards the bus stop. He's going to get by Cofield there.
Yeah, I think Cofield just let him have it. I mean, it's hard to get around people in the S's, so I think Cofield was just waiting to get to a spot where he could be like, all right, I'm getting out of the way.
And see, now this is one of those points that, those guys were racing to stay on the lead lap, so, they're going to race the leader harder. But now as McWhorter gets to them, they're not really racing for anything against McWhorter, so that comes at an advantage there for McWhorter, as they may just step aside for him, regardless.
Yeah, the thing about it is, the one bad point about being the leader is when you always get to the lap traffic first, they're going to dog your tail end. Compared to where you're in second or third, they'll just move out of the way a lot easier. So the leader uses up their stuff as there's the 74 diving on the inside. I saw a big old bobble going into turn 1 out of him.
Yeah, he gets around. He does get around the 85 there cleaner than, or quicker than he did the other two. So certainly helped him out there. He's only up to about a 2.3 second lead over McWhorter now, as McWhorter's all over the back of the 808 of Bieber, as you see right there, Bieber stepping aside for McWhorter. So one of those things that as the leader, you have to deal with that lap traffic like that.
As it showed in the lap time, Whitley with a 14.56, McWhorter with a 13.91. And that's all because of lap traffic. So, I mean, it's just going to be one of those interesting things as Whitley is still trying to lay it down a little bit here. I think the window for him is going to open up within the next 2 to 3 laps as we see a few people peeling off.
McWhorter making his stop now. So this is where I was thinking is the first one to bite is going to trigger the next one to pit. So I think this time by, when Whitley gets back to the start finish, I think that's when we see Whitley pit, because if he stays out too long, I think that's going to allow McWhorter to make up a ton of time. We've seen McWhorter running 112s there on a fresh set, and as where Whitley that last time by ran a 115. So if he stays out, he's going to lose 3 seconds a lap roughly, give or take some, if he doesn't come down. So if he stays out 2 laps, I mean, that could be easily anywhere from 3 to 6 seconds of a disadvantage if Whitley Whitley doesn't pit and McWhorter stays out. I think that was the, trying to look for a name here, I can't seem to find it. It's not the one I'm looking for. I think it was McQueen might have grabbed the wall there in the carousel. See a little bit of damage there on the right side. Take a peek here, see what Whitley decides, and it looks as though, yep, Whitley's going to make that pit stop there now. So, like I said, that whoever jumped first was going to cause the other to jump. We take a peek now. McWhorter just now coming out of the bus stop, sits about 37 seconds down from our leader. So I think when he gets there, they're going to kind of come out of pit road or he's going to come out of pit road just about as McWhorter gets to him. We're going to have to see how that plays out.
Yeah, this is going to be relatively tight, I think.
So McWhorter down the front stretch here now as he's got a little bit of a connectivity problem. Whitley leaves now. You see McWhorter there entering, well, what was turn 1, as he continues to have a connectivity issue, which not sure where McWhorter is at this current moment, as he is having some serious connectivity issues.
It looks like he came out maybe just right behind him.
Yeah, it looks as though, yep, right there behind him, and he just keeps blinking out. And that's unfortunate there for McWhorter, because he's having a great race, so...
Yeah, that connection flag is probably going to be in his future here relatively soon if that doesn't clear up.
Yeah, the only one that seems to be having that issue, too, as I look at our timing and scoring.
Yeah, I'm looking at things right now, and yeah, it's definitely the 72 that's the only one that's having it, but that tells you right there, he made up 3 seconds on pit road.
Yeah, so now it's one of those things, just, I mean, only a lap separates them as far as tire wear, so it's not a ton, but that's where, you know, now Whitley has, for one of the first times tonight since the start of this thing, pressure, and that's another thing, is, you know, can Whitley handle the pressure of McWhorter being right there? Because a small slip is going to allow... Oh, McWhorter might get a slowdown there for being as wide as he was.
Oh, I think he'll be all right. I only saw the back end kick out a little bit. I mean, he was fully off the strip, but it wasn't like he was like 6 feet off of it, so I think he'll be fine.
Yes, certainly, but just about 0.6 of a second separate these guys here at the front, as...
Yeah.
You see Whitley there taking a little bit more of an aggressive line through that bus stop.
Yeah, Whitley knows he's got to run away at this point because McWhorter, if he stays back there behind him, as these guys are both getting sideways, it's like I'm watching Rusty Wallace and Ricky Rudd from '89 here.
Yeah, and I noticed that Lucas Lyons bowed out of this thing around lap 25, so I'm not sure what happened. I didn't get anything that popped up for him, so now it's just these guys. I see right here, let's take a peek back to see if we can see what might have happened with Lucas Lyons here. As he was fighting for a podium position, see if anything comes up here.
He goes wide off the bus stop, off of what would be turn 10. Seems like everything is fine, and he just brings it down pit road.
Yeah, I don't know if maybe... I don't have an incident count, but I wonder if maybe he got a penalty for incident limit. I don't know, but it's a heartbreaker there.
Not 100% sure. I mean, I don't see anything coming across from race control.
Yeah, that's a bummer there, as he has to bow out of here. But Mark Whitley running the fastest time of the race last lap, the 1:12.19. So he's now growing this lead back out as we wind down the laps here.
Yeah, that lead is starting to stretch. I mean, it's going to get to a point where it's relatively comfortable because Whitley's currently doing a 12:53 compared to McWhorter's 12:99. So he's going to be able to stretch that out a little bit more. So now the question becomes, do you get to that point where you can save it? Or are you already trying to save and knowing that the person behind you is trying to save that much more?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, Whitley getting kind of hung up there behind the 73. At this point, I think it's just all go, pedal to the floor. I don't think there's any saving. I don't think there's any other plan than to just put this thing, put that pedal as far through the sheet metal underneath your foot as you possibly can.
To answer the question on what's going on, Race Control has informed that it was only 3X on the 17, so it's unknown as to why he ended up calling it a day early.
Yeah, that was a fast truck there. Certainly was going to be in the hunt for a podium position. So these two fighting out. Brandon Wallace now in that podium position. Mark Cofield just about 12 seconds behind him.
Yeah, I think a lot of these people behind these top two trucks are just cruising at this point, just wanting to get out of here as we've hit 10 to go. Something tells me that it's going to get that much more intriguing here because the way the 74 has been driving, a mistake is coming, and I'm just sensing it, just the way he's pushing, that when it does happen, it's going to be subtle enough to where he's going to be able to drive away from it, but it's also going to be big enough to let the 72 back into this race.
Absolutely. Mick Warder still having a little bit of a connectivity there. So, I mean, honestly, in Mick Warder's mind now, with having the connectivity issue, he's just hoping to make it to the end of this thing. I mean, oh, big slide there by Whitley. But, you know, when you start having connectivity problems, you start thinking to yourself, Lord, please just let me see the checkered flag.
Yeah, I think, you know, McWhorter right now is easily split-minded. He wants to see the end of this race because of, you know, he needs the points. He needs to have this finish. But he still wants to try to chase down that 74. And that's the driver in all of us is we want to go after the person no matter what's going on, no matter how broken anything is. We still want to go after them as the 74 throws a little bit of a drift in there through the top of the hill. Now he's pushing it too hard. I think he's going to start using those rear tires up here because we've only got 9 to go.
Yeah, he's really just trying to run this thing out. And I mean, McWhorter slowly creeping in here momentarily as it's down to a 1.7 second to a 1.6 second now. So McWhorter not done yet. He certainly wants to get up there.
Yeah, but the problem is with the connectivity issues, how aggressive can he be if he gets there?
Yeah, it's kind of stalling out around the 1.5 to 1.6 second gap. And you know, that's where I've started to notice that, you know, a lot of the really, really good racers have learned to build a gap and then maintain that gap. And, you know, knowing when to kind of regain a lead, let yourself lose a little bit of it, not really be worried with how big the number is, just with how big that number changes over the course of a lap. And that's something that Whitley has been, you know, in my opinion, doing very well right now. Is, you know, he's able to pull it out to 1.8. It gets down to about a 1.5 to a 1.6, and then he stretches it out, you know, back up to that 1.8 as he's up to a 1.9 second lead now.
You trying to tell me that's why I struggle when it comes to racing, is I don't know how to manage the distance from my lead? Or is that just everyone else's problem?
I'm saying that's also my problem as well. You know, I forget that, you know, you know, it's not just playing, you know, NASCAR 04, you know, Thunder 2004, where you could just foot to the floor and you don't have to worry about your tires or any of that. You know, you actually have to be mindful of them. Me, I just foot to the floor, foot off, foot to the floor, foot off, foot to the floor, foot off. And that might be why I usually tend to either be upside down in the wall or, you know, finishing back half of the field.
And going through a hell of a lot of gas pedals in the process.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if I don't have to change out, you know, my gas pedal and put on a new one in the middle of the race, did I even try?
Well, that depends on if you have to replace the throttle linkage or not.
Certainly someone that's probably got to replace that throttle linkage at some point. It's going to be Whitley, because I feel like he's just foot to the floor right now. I mean, I'd be surprised if he's even, you know, slowing down for some of these corners. He's just kind of throwing it in there and just letting it slow itself down.
Yeah, something tells me he's not using that brake pedal near as much, especially coming out of the bus stop into the carousel. I mean, you can float the truck into that set of corners, But at the same token, you're also abusing the front tires doing it. But at this point, does it really matter to him?
Right. Mark Cofield here fighting for that last 5th place spot as Andrew Player's looking to get up to him and take over that last spot in the top 5. Brandon Wallace, our final podium guy at the current moment with just about 6 laps to go, currently sitting about 7, almost 8 seconds ahead of Mark Cofield, who's just now about to get to the bus stop. And again, he's got a rear view mirror full of Andrew Player, who wants that 4th place position here.
I'm just amazed at the fact that the top 2 trucks have driven away to nearly a 50-second gap on everybody else. I mean, that is unheard of unless it's Formula One.
Absolutely. I mean, you can see right here, he's coming out of the carousel now. And if we jump up to our P3 guy, he's going down the front stretch. So that is not very far by any means. I mean, about a 53-second lead over Brandon Wallace for the 2 of those guys right now. Here comes Mark Whitley about to go down the front stretch here, and we just saw Brandon Wallace, taking the first turn there. So that shows you how far ahead these guys are absolutely pushing these things. Mark Whitley, a 113.45, 113.89 that time by. McWhorter, a 113.93. Brandon Wallace's last time was a 116.17.
Yeah, and I was just informed with Cofield coming down pit road prior to that, he was 4th from an EOL at the start of this race. McCarthy's up to 6th from starting on pit road.
Yeah, and that's
crazy to think about here.
They've both had phenomenal drives up through this, especially McCarthy being able to, again, start from pit road. He came out, everybody was just flying by him as he, they were headed up through the S's as he started his trek onto the actual racing surface. So for him to fight all the way up to P5, I mean, that's absolutely insane. And now I see Brandon Wallace making a pit stop here, so that's going to hand over P3 to Andrew Player.
Yeah, the big thing is with McCarthy coming up to where he is, he needed that in order to solidify his points. Because, again, this is the next to last race before the cutoff. They go to Kansas next week. He needed every point possible here tonight, and boy, has he gotten it.
Yeah, and, now we're looking up ahead. It's kind of crazy that, Whitley's not going to be able, meet that minimum race thing to be eligible for the playoffs. But now you start to wonder, if he runs this full time next season, how much of a force is he going to be in this series? I mean, we've seen him, in 3 races so far across SRM, and if everything holds true to what it is right this very second, he's going to win 3 out of 3 races that are broadcasted on SRM. And that's with baseball season coming up, that's 100. That's batting 100, and that's not something you hang on to. So it's it's insane.
Whitley's turned into the final boss right about now. I mean, the last 3 races you've had to go through him to get to victory lane, and if this holds true in the next 3+ laps, yeah, this is final boss mode activated on that 74 truck.
110%. It's going to be one of those things people are going to be looking at it next year or next season for this truck series, thinking to themselves, what do I need to learn to get as fast as Whitley? What am I going to need to practice to get as fast as Whitley? I mean, here's P3 right now, sitting about a minute and 5 seconds off of the pace of Whitley. He's about to enter the bus stop as Whitley is starting his trek towards the bus stop.
Yeah, he's literally got a mirror full of that 74 truck. And I mean, seriously, I made the reference of trucks being back at Watkins Glen. What is this, 96? It feels like it with this butt kicking that we've seen here tonight, because you would see maybe 3 or 4 trucks on the lead lap at a place like this. And here we are again seeing it here tonight. And I mean, it's nearly a 30-year difference, and it feels like nothing's changed. as the popsicle sticks are going to be coming up this time by for Whitley as he comes off of turn 11. This has been a drive and a half for the pole sitter here tonight.
I mean, I feel like you can't even just say a drive and a half. I feel like a drive and a half is an understatement. I mean, it's like he's on double XP mode or something, trying to get everything that he possibly can here.
Double XP weekend on MLB The Show 25? What?
Exactly. So, I mean, he is showing absolute dominance here, and I mean, you kind of expect that, you know, when you come to a road course, just because a lot of us aren't road course guys. But for someone to come in here and with this field of drivers, when I tell you this is a stacked field of drivers, I'm not kidding you. Like, this entire field started, you know, the season with, you know, going 5 for 5 for wins and everything like that, with different drivers. And, you know, now we're seeing a repeat in this guy here, seeing you know, our first repeat was McWhorter. So, I mean, it's one of those things where we've seen several different winners across the entire season, and now we're seeing another guy win for the second time.
Well, as the popsicle sticks go down and the white flag comes up for Whitley in the 74, race control just backhanded me upside the back of the head and just reminded me that the regular race control, Eddie Smith, went 4 for 4 in the truck series. So Whitley is making a run for that.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. So it's going to be interesting to see him go for 4 for 4. I mean, he's going to have 2 for 2 to start, and I mean, with the dominance that he's been showing here, I mean, I would not be surprised if he puts the alert up there for you know, getting close to that record, kind of like Ovi going after Wayne Gretzky.
Well, the grade 8's definitely going after that record, and as we get through the last half of this lap, Whitley is looking wicked strong as he comes down in through the carousel. McWhorter is about 4.25 seconds back. Everyone else, if this was a game of chess, everyone else was playing Parcheesi, because this 74 has done checked out. And with only a couple of turns left to go, turn 10, this left-hander, turn 11, the right-hander, to get back up to the start-finish line. 4 for 4 is a thing, and right now Whitley's going 2 for 2 as the back end of the truck kicks out sideways. Mark Whitley gets it done at the Glen.
McWhorter going to come in P2 here, finishing up his run. Now, Andrew Player, he is currently about 13 seconds ahead of P4, but, you know, he's still got a full lap to go to claim that podium spot, so we'll stay right here for him for just a moment. But again, our winner of the race going to be Mark Whitley here, putting on just an absolute domination of a race. And, you know, from the beginning, you saw him kind of, you know, lose the lead from the start, you know, falling back just a spot or two. And then once he gained it back, the only time he didn't have the lead again was when he pit. So, you know, it's one of those things where he just put on an absolute clinic here.
I'm reminded of something Dale Earnhardt said in 1995 after he won the season finale in Atlanta. Now, that's what you call an ass kicking.
Oh, 110%.
And that's what we got here tonight. That's literally what we got here tonight.
Yeah, as we're going to ride along here with Andrew Player for the final turn, he's going to come down. He's going to grab that final podium position. He's going to finish with a solid finish there in P3 as Whitley's going to come around this corner. He's certainly going to get ready to go burn this thing down on the front stretch, and he certainly earned it with what he did tonight as he trying to drift a little bit off the corner there.
Yeah, he's just putting on a show for the fans before getting to the start-finish line and saying, you know what? I don't need these rear tires anymore. I don't need these pistons. We can put them up for sale, gently used.
Yeah, that's one of the things that's great about iRacing is it doesn't matter if you blow it up here. You just burn it down to the high heavens and let her ride. So,
well, he cracked up the back end. That thing will pass post-race inspection.
Absolutely.
Parker Klingerman, I'm sorry if you're listening to this, but it's not too soon for these jokes.
Oh, it's never too soon. Are you kidding me? So, you got to have those kind of jokes. I'm just trying to see here. Get to our white flag, and we're going to check in over here with Andrew Player As finishing P3 tonight, Andrew Player, you got a copy.
I hear you. How you doing tonight?
Hey, man, so, I mean, I'm not sure if you're a road course guy or not. I know I saw a couple people running different strategies throughout the whole night. You find yourself here, the last guy on the lead lap, but on the podium.
Mark really put a whooping on the field tonight, didn't he? So did Joseph, actually. Those guys were lightning fast.
Yeah, and I mean, when you see someone that's that fast, I mean, when you're running here, you see yourself in P3, you're just kind of watching these other guys run away from you and then suddenly reappear in your rearview mirror. I mean, are all you thinking is just, hey, I want to finish on the lead lap?
Yes. Try and finish on the lead lap. Try and run smooth. Try and run clean. Try not to mess up anybody's races, anybody else's race. You know, road course, it's a lot of times it's a battle with yourself just to minimize mistakes. So I felt like I did that tonight. And then when I saw him coming, like I was just, man, let me finish on the lead lap. There's only going to be 3 of us. They were really whooping us. So let me try and be like one more.
Well, you know, anytime you come to a road course, like you said, it's one of those things where you never really know what's going to happen. You don't know how you're going to run. You're racing yourself. So, I mean, just to come in here and maximize your points and get away with a podium, I mean, that's got to be everything that you know, everything on the board you kind of basically just checked off there.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with tonight's finish. Hopefully I got you. I lost you there for a second, but I'm pretty happy with tonight's run. You know, it worked out pretty good. I really like this New Hampshire Police Association pipes and drums truck. Looking to finally get it a good finish. So it's nice to hopefully get a little bit of screen time tonight. It's a great organization, founded after a fallen police officer passed away up here 31 years ago. So it's nice to get them some nice screen time, hopefully.
Absolutely, man. And now, before we send you on your way to celebrate the podium, is there anybody that you'd like to shout out for tonight's performance?
Oh, absolutely. Obviously, first and foremost, my wife for putting up with me hanging out in the basement racing on a Sunday night. But obviously, I want to thank McConey Setup Shop. Again, like I say, New Hampshire Police Association Pipes and Drums, great organization, member of them, and it's a wonderful group of guys. Allow me the honor of playing with them. But also want to thank iRacing, Above the Yellow Line, Sim Motion, and obviously INVets for doing what they do for our veterans, for this league, and you know, they're a really great group and appreciate what all they do to make this happen. And thank you to you guys and our admins for putting up with us as well. Appreciate your support too.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for your time, brother, and we'll be catching you down the road, man.
All righty, hopefully so. We'll see you soon.
All right, next up we have our P2 finisher on the night, and I believe Shane, you have him right now.
Hey, Joseph, it's Shane and Jordan up at the booth. You got a copy?
Yep.
Well, best of the rest, man. I mean, Mark just was laying it down. Did you have anything for him through that, or were you just trying to conserve what you could actually do and just hope he actually, you know, screwed up towards the end of this?
I mean, I don't know. I tried to make a move at the first lap going into the first corner, and I had to slam on the brakes and not kill Lucas because Mark backed out of it. And I had to hit the brakes, so that gave Mark back the position, and it was just, I don't know, just wasn't good enough tonight, plain and simple.
Yeah, I mean, some guys are road course ringers, and some of us just hold on for dear life and catch up on the points. And, you know, it was definitely a good points day for you. Kansas is coming up. You got any thoughts leading into that one?
I don't know. Probably going to be a pretty heavy drafting type thing like Las Vegas, so I don't know. Hopefully not be in the lead on the last lap and make a pass on the last lap like what happened in Las Vegas to me. I think. I don't know. It's been so long since I've raced one of those here, so I don't know. We'll just see what happens next week. I think we got 1-2 more races for the champion or before the postseason starts, so just need to focus on scoring points and finish. I think we probably have already clutched the regular season championship, so get those all important bonus points and go into the playoffs and just keep doing what we're doing.
Yeah, Kansas next week is the actual cutoff, so I think you probably are right when it comes to clinching up everything. So, you know, we'll definitely get that cleared up later on. Before we let you go to celebrate this P2 finish, who do you got to think that gets it done in that 72 truck for you here tonight?
Yeah, I want to thank Red Camel Racing. Been an awesome sponsor of mine for while now. Looking forward to here in just a couple weeks repping their gear at Nevada Speedway in Missouri. Go check them out at redcamelracing.com. 29 Graphics. You can see the beautiful paint scheme you see each and every week. Go check them out at 29graphics.com. Outlier Speed Co. They've been making some really fast race cars. Really glad to be representing them and being second in the points in our Friday night league. So go check them out at outlierspeedco.com. You guys for putting on the broadcast, all the admins, all the drivers for all the hard work, and we'll just see you next week.
Definitely, man. Congratulations on the P2. We'll see you at Kansas.
Thank you.
And last and certainly not least by any measure whatsoever, Mark Whitley. It's Jordan up in the booth. You got a copy?
Gotcha.
Hey, man. So 3 races that I got to broadcast with you so far, 3 wins. I mean, dude, you're on a roll here. 3 for 3 as far as sim racing media broadcasts go. I mean, you're on a roll here, brother.
Yeah, I figured the best way to introduce myself is to just keep winning. It's been a really incredible run so far, and it's just grateful to be able to put together these good runs.
Now, I mean, we saw you absolutely flying throughout this thing. I mean, was there any doubt whatsoever, there with some of the strategy? We saw so many different strategies. Saw some guys stretching it far, some guys kind of going with you kind of split the race into kind of thirds there. I mean, was there any time that, you came down, you see some of the guys staying out, you thinking that maybe you should have stayed out?
No, I think pretty much since the start of the race, I had a strategy and I was just going to stick to it. I noticed we were like at least 2 or 3 laps shy of making it halfway, and I felt confident enough in my speed that if someone tried to save those 2 or 3 laps, you'd have to do it twice. So I felt pretty confident I'd be able to make the difference up just on speed. So it was just about cutting the race in as evenly as you could. I got a 1 lap undercut on Joe the first time around, then he got one on me, and it about cost me because I was messing with some lap traffic at the time too, and I gave up a lot of time the lap he pitted. So I barely got out in front of him that second time, and I think that'd have been maybe a little bit different of a race if he'd have been able to come out in front of me and I'd had to pass him, because I know me and him are really good friends. We've been racing together for a long time at this point, and he's very hard to pass, and he'll make you burn your stuff up to get around him. So I think that just a little bit I was able to come out in front of him really was the difference at the end there, because we were able to pull away a little bit there at the end, but we were so even on speed. I think if he'd have got around me, it'd have been hard to get back by him. So it was just sticking to our strategy and hoping for the best, honestly.
Yeah, and one of my big questions is, you're not eligible obviously for playoffs, just being your second race here with the trucks, but what does this do for the confidence heading into another season with the trucks, and I mean ultimately for you around the league as a whole? I mean, you got the win at the ARCA, you've got 2 truck wins, so I mean, what does that do for just the confidence going into more seasons with GLR?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it just builds the confidence. Just trying to get myself introduced and get myself used to the league. I know I'm pretty new, so the league runs so many different things all throughout the week. So there's a lot of different guys running different series. So it's just about trying to learn all the guys here, and thankfully we've been able to. I think this is really the first race the Pocono race and the ARCA car. It was 3 of us there that were all drafting together the whole race. So I mean, I led most of the laps, but it was really just a 3-car breakaway. This one felt good because it was pretty much I was able to kind of jump out the lead and just keep it the whole race on speed instead of just drafting. So I felt pretty nice and confident with it. Hopefully we can continue. I doubt we're gonna go keep batting 1,000, but as long as we keep getting good finishes together, set ourselves good, get some good momentum, confidence going into the next seasons with the 2 series I'm in now. If I join any other series, haven't decided yet. So it's just trying to build some confidence, build momentum, and then go after a season-long championship next time around.
Absolutely, man. And certainly before we set you free, there's got to be some guys you want to thank and for tonight's performance there, brother.
Yeah, big shout out Brantley over at Harpoon Design. He finally I was able to wrangle him, and he got time in his busy schedule to fixed my number so I wasn't in the wrong number again this week. And he's also got my ARCA card done up real nice for tomorrow night. So check it out tomorrow night. It's going to be something special. So check him out at harpoondesign.com. Shout out to my teammate over there, Joe. He coming in second. I know he kept me on my toes the whole race. I mean, me and him always have great battles here at this track. It seems like we were talking about it last night. About the last time we were here was like C fixed like 2 years ago, and that was this one was a little bit less eventful, but we always run each other really tight and keep each other honest. So I really appreciate him being on the team. Shout out to the league sponsors: Lincoln Tech, Save 22, Indiana Department of Veteran Affairs. All of them guys starting to learn them a little bit better instead of having to read them off a prompter. So just keep this momentum rolling, and maybe we can learn all the league sponsors here soon.
Absolutely, man. Well, looking forward to seeing you in that ARCA car again tomorrow night, and looking forward to a full season with you here shortly. Going to be a fun one, man. So I appreciate you for your time, and we'll be catching you, man.
Sounds good, man.
With all of that said, it's going to kind of wrap everything up for us here. We're going to go over these final results here. Mark Whitley going to drive away to another win, 3 for 3 as far as broadcasts go for me. Joseph McWhorter going to come P2 with Andrew Player rounding out that podium, last guy on the lead lap. Michael McCarthy going to battle from starting on pit road all the way up to P4. Brandon Wallace going to come P5. Jamie Libke, Brett Bieber, Travis Bieber, Charles Abbott, and Mark Cofield going to round out the top 10. Mark Cofield driving from the back of the field all the way up after an EOL to start the race. Jeremiah Holt, Corinne Smith, Alex McQueen, Kevin Price, and Kyle Deering going to round out our top 15. With Lucas Lyons, Big Duke, Casey Jones, Christopher Morris Jr., and Logan Sturgeon rounding out our full 20 truck field here tonight. And I mean, I got to say there, Shane, it's been an absolute pleasure to work with you here tonight. And you got to see a pretty daggone good road course race here tonight.
Yeah, Watkins, Glen, and trucks always seem to be an interesting combination. And like I've said, man, it feels like it's 1996 all over again seeing all of this. I mean, from the beatdown that Mark in the 74 gave everybody to some of the strategy you needed with these trucks, it was just a fun race in general. And it didn't really seem to shake up the points all that much, but yet again, next week at Kansas, we could see the dice roll one more time.
Absolutely, and it's going to just take a little bit of time to get to Kansas. But with all of that said, as you walk the streets of life, please don't play in traffic. Good night.
And until we meet again, everybody in Kansas, take care.